So at Edge Music Academy, we really focus on the education side of music. A lot of places, sell guitars and then they have somebody that just teaches some lessons on the side. We don't do retail. Our focus is on the education. All of our teachers have to go through a pretty strict audition process. So they have to play every instrument that they're going to teach for us so that we can see that they're at the level that we want them to be. We have curriculums, especially for guitar and piano, that are really proven to work, that are really holistic in teaching all the different skills. And our big thing is that we have the teachers that can teach you the formal skills and techniques that make you develop a lot more quickly, but also all our teachers make sure that our students get to learn fun songs that they get to pick out as well. So we kind of believe in the best of both worlds approach. It's important to have those techniques and skills from the formal side, sometimes thought to be the classical side, but it's also really important to learn the music that you like, because that's when you grow to love it, and that's when you really practice and have fun.
Welcome to our first edition of A Quick Chat, connecting you to the entrepreneurs and key business people here in Lamont and Homer Glen, Illinois. In this episode, we're going to meet with Jason Thompson. We'll learn a little bit more about Jason and his journey to start Edge Music Academy. But first, we'd like to thank our sponsor, My LHG Guide. My LHG Guide is the definitive guide to living in Lamont, Homer Glen, and the surrounding areas. Keep up to date with events and stories in the area, whether you're visiting mylhgguide.com or its corresponding social media outlets. Since it's the holiday season, make sure to visit the site's Santa Tracker, because you definitely want to find St. Nick in the area if you have kids or grandkids. It's going to be important here this next couple of weeks. So, thanks so much for tuning in. Let's get started, and here's Jason Thompson. So Jason, we're going to get to know you a little bit more and talk a little bit about your business. So, where did you grow up?
Sure. So I first grew up until I was 10. I lived in Evergreen Park, and then from there we moved out to Tinley Park, where I lived most of my life. Went to high school and middle school and part of elementary school. Until recently I moved out to Naperville, which is where my wife's from. So that's a little bit about my short version of my life story.
Were you always into music?
Yeah, so I like to think from a pretty early age. My dad played electric bass. He was self-taught, and he would always, blast records and play bass to the records. So from a pretty early age, I remember, sitting on the couch watching him, thinking, "Oh, this is awesome! I want to learn an instrument." But I wanted to do guitar because I thought, "Oh, guitar is even harder. I got to go the hard route, right?" But yeah, my dad is pretty good. He's actually been picking it up again since he retired, so he's been playing a lot more, which is awesome. And it's kind of funny because our neighbors across the street in Evergreen Park, we were really close with them, and for years they didn't even know that my dad played bass guitar. They just thought he was blasting records, but he was always playing with the records. So it had to be pretty good if you tricked him for that long.
And then, how long have you played? And tell kind of a little bit about your educational background.
Yeah, so my parents were really pretty big on making sure, so I only have one sibling, so my sister and I, we kind of picked what we liked and really stuck with it. So when I first showed interest in guitar, I got the standard first stacked, cheap toy guitar from Toys R Us or something, which Toys R Us, I guess, isn't even around anymore, huh? But I had that, I showed interest in that. I was lucky enough to take a group guitar class at the Park District in Tinley Park, it's kind of funny, it's kind of come full circle. Now we're teaching the class there. So that was my first music class. And then, I practiced a lot. I did well in that. So then when I started middle school, my parents signed me up for private lessons. And then I pretty much went from there. And luckily at Andrew High School, where I went in Tinley Park, they have a really good music program. But because I was guitar, you're kind of an anomaly. So there's not really a marching guitar in marching bands, right? So I did take some music classes. But I wish that I did more, band and choir while I was there. And then from there, I went to Moraine Valley. They have an awesome music program there. While I was trying to kind of figure out which degree I wanted to pursue and which kind of pathway. which especially for music can be kind of confusing and don't really know what's out there. Then from there, I decided to transfer to St. Xavier University. Luckily, there, their guitar professor was also their jazz professor, so I got to kind of do everything with him, which was awesome. And they had a lot of benefits of the small program, but also some of the benefits that big programs have, even though they were a pretty small program. And then from there, I thought about going to grad school. I'd still like to one day, but it didn't really seem the um, best financial decision since I already kind of had all my teaching studio, and I would have been kind of doing the same thing. So instead, my two top choices would have been Northwestern or DePaul, which have really good jazz programs. So instead, I just decided to study with the guitar professor from Northwestern for a couple years, instead just privately. And really learned a lot from him. He's kind of John Mulder. He's kind of one of my guitar idols locally. So that was super awesome. So that's what I kind of did in place of grad school. Yeah, and that's the medium version of my long life story of music, right?
Is jazz your favorite music to play?
Well, I think anything, when people ask me this, I think the answer I've come to finally over the years is anything where I could play a guitar solo.
You like that, Glory?
Yeah, so jazz, there's a lot of soloing, which is a lot of fun, a lot of improvising, which is a lot of fun. Um, but I've, really gone through various phases of music in my life, and I've really played everything. And, and I like to teach all the different styles too. That's one of the things that makes teaching so fun. 1 half-hour session, I might have a young kid who's learning, a Christmas song right now, or then in the next section, I might have an adult that's learning a country song, and then I might have a high schooler that's learning a lead guitar thing. So it's pretty fun. It keeps it interesting. But yeah, I think at this point I've gone through most phases of music, but I think I've come a little bit out of the jazz phase since college now, and now I'm, I guess listening to a bit of everything.
Very nice. So you mentioned that you're married. When did you meet Beth, and does she have a similar passion for music?
Yeah, so Beth and I first started dating, I think now it's 8 years ago, which feels like a long time and no time at the same time. And Beth and her family have a very musical background. She actually started college potentially majoring in music, but decided to go a different route. She wasn't sure if she wanted to teach in school or what. But yeah, Beth played it's a lot of instruments really. So she played clarinet was her main instrument through a lot of college. She did clarinet. She did jazz band, saxophone and jazz band in Naperville. She did choir through high school. She even took piano lessons for a while. Um, and her mom still sings in church, and so they have a lot of music going. Actually, more music than my family, which is kind of funny, but it's pretty cool because they can relate to a lot of things.
So when did you decide to start your own business?
Yeah, so I think even as a young kid, I kind of feel like I had in the back of my head, like, I think maybe I'd like to have my own business. I think I remember being a kid, when you're a kid, you love McDonald's. I remember thinking, like, I want to own a McDonald's one day. Thought that was the coolest thing. And I think for years, for a while in college, I thought I would be a college professor, and I thought I wanted to teach, advanced guitar players. Then I realized how much I like working with kids, even all ages, but even young kids. I think there weren't a whole lot of young kids in my family, so I didn't really get to work with them much or be around them. So then when I really realized how much I like teaching all ages and teaching private lessons, having worked in some other local music schools and stores, I kind of realized, like, you know what? I think I'm pretty natural with the business side of things, and I can use this not only to provide the best education for people, but also to help other musicians and give them good jobs too. So I think as I found it pretty natural for me, and as I started teaching more and more in other music schools, I found, like, you know what? I think this could be done better, and I think we should try to do it our own.
And that's great. And I mean, you mentioned that you worked with quite a few of your teachers. I mean, is that almost kind of a better way to spot talent that could be a teacher?
Yeah, so it's obviously, great when we can hire teachers that, I know pretty well, that I've performed with or went to college with, because I really know exactly what they bring to the table, and the high level of experience and their personality. Obviously, the personality is really big too, especially for the younger kids. I mean, there are some schools out there that have really, um, on paper, great teachers. They might have a master's degree or doctorate, and we have some of those teachers too. But if they don't have the right personality, it really makes it difficult for especially the younger kids to really get into it. So it's nice to have both, right? And it's hard to find those people, but we try really hard to find the right teachers. And right now, I'm really proud of our lineup, our faculty, if you will, is just every teacher is just awesome. So every new student that signs up, I know they're going in great hands. So.
So the name Edge Music Academy. Did you name your academy after U2's lead guitarist?
Actually, a lot of people will say that, but actually no. So, and one of my friends always has to call it the Edge, which I'm like, that's not what it is. But anyway, so my wife works in marketing, so she was helping pick out the name, and what we came down to was, our big thing is that music makes even all ages, but especially kids, better at really every different aspect of life, many different aspects of life. Especially things like discipline and hard work, but also just being on the art side and the creative side, but kind of both sides of the brain. So our thought was that music and learning music, it gives you an edge in life, and that's what we found with many people we know that were really involved with music in school, really went to thrive in various careers, not just music. So it's really good for everyone.
So what we're going to do here is actually take a pause, and Jason's actually going to play a little bit for us. So
All
we're going
right,
to take a few seconds here.
and we make sure we're in tune here.
So Jason, what kind of music are you going to play for us here?
You know what? I think I'll. He said I like to play anything with a guitar solo, so I think I'll improvise something for you here on the spot.
Okay.
Let's see.
All right. So as Jason is setting up here, we definitely want to thank him, and also to remember, we'll mention this later in the broadcast, but Edge Music Academy. So they are out of Homer Glen, Illinois. One of the newer businesses in the area, and definitely we know quite a few people taking lessons. We're going to even talk to him too about some of those instruments you can learn, especially the ukulele. So I think that's going to be something that is just definitely fun. And how is everything setting up here, Jay?
Good. I guess we could start. See. All right. I don't know how easy it will be. I might need a chair without a back, maybe. I don't usually do this sitting down. Let's see. Can you see? Or is it
Yep,
dry?
go ahead. Yep, we can see. And it's got to be all muscle memory doing that sort of thing. I want to ask you how long you had to practice doing that.
I don't know. That one kind of came to me, I think, at some point. And it's funny, I've even had some students that have started doing it, which is always funny. Remember one kid was, I think a third grader, was getting really good at learning the Mario theme song. At one time I had to get her attention, so I played behind my head, and she was able to start doing it. So it's, I guess it's not always as hard as it looks.
Yeah, but I'm guessing that's probably, lesson 4 or 5?
Yeah.
So, what are some of the things that you actually, if somebody brand new just came in and, what are some of the things that you would actually teach them as they learn, as they pick up the guitar and learn the kind of the first steps?
Sure. So the first lesson, we'll kind of evaluate where they're at. Obviously a lot of students will come totally brand new, and that's great. Sometimes we'll say no bad habits yet, so that's good. But we get students that do sometimes come to us that are pretty advanced as well, so we kind of have to see where they're at and what their specific goals are. But most students, for guitar and even piano, we're kind of starting with some basic techniques, some basic reading of music, and then we try to get them right away even first lesson, starting to learn part of some sort of song that they get to pick out, or we help them pick out. So we try to get them kind of having fun right off the bat. But for instance, our guitar students, they all start with a curriculum of several books, and that ensures that they learn how to read music, they learn techniques, they learn how to read what we call tablature, and which has a lot of fun songs in those books, and then they also get to pick out songs. Our piano students, they all get to learn technique, they learn how to read notes in songs, they even learn how to write music and music theory, and even a little ear training right off the bat. They start going with that. Really, as young as first graders even start with all of that. So obviously, it's to an appropriate level. But like I was mentioning earlier, kind of we have a holistic approach where our students, if they decide later in life, actually I really like this style, they're equipped to go ahead and go down that route just because they're really well rounded.
And it sounds great that they actually get to pick the songs that they're going to learn. I mean, I know there's probably some standards, but
Sure.
it probably keeps it, they can kind of control where they go.
Yeah, absolutely. And all our teachers with all their formal training, they can arrange. We call it arranging a song so that it's skill appropriate. So it could be maybe the song they really like, the kid really likes, is pretty tricky, but they could play kind of a bass line on piano with it, so they're still jamming with the song. So we can kind of modify what we call arrange the song so that they could still play with it, even from day one a lot of the time.
And I know too that you all every now and then will actually hold recitals where people can actually kind of perform for friends, family, public.
Yeah, so that's another thing we like to do that, I think is really important that I didn't really have as a kid at a lot of the schools that I took lessons from. Um, so we've been trying to do a lot of that. And so we've only been in our Homer Glen location about a year and a half, a little over a year. But we've already started a lot of standard sort of annual events that we have. So far annually, we've been doing for 2 years, we've done the Forge Art Walk, which is a lot of fun. Really cool event. So we have students with battery-powered guitar amps and keyboards throughout the art walk performing. We even partnered with Momentum Dance, and they had some dancers improvising dance to our musicians, which is really cool. And this last summer, it rained, but we were luckily able to squeeze in some performances on their main stage, which is really cool because the Forge has a huge stage. So especially our students that live in Lamont were really excited about that. So we had a few of our advanced students play on there, which was really cool. So we plan to do that every year. We did a big recital at the Roxy in Lockport in April, which was awesome. We had a videographer, kind of everything there. That was really cool. We actually sold out the venue. So the students got to play to an audience of over 100 people. They all got a huge round of applause, which is just awesome for their confidence and everything. And then this year we're starting to do a holiday performance, which is actually the Sunday. We're partnering with our neighbors Momentum Dance. It's Lincoln Way East. So we booked out their auditorium, and we're going to be opening for them. So it's a little more of an informal performance opportunity. And we'll have various other ones throughout the year, too. Sometimes, especially the more advanced students, will say, hey, you want to come play? We're playing here. Like, for instance, last year at the Homer Glen Village Craft and Cocoa event, we had a student that learned like 20 Christmas songs. So we're like, it was a third or fourth grader that learned 20 songs. We're like, come on, come play them. And then we had some teachers play, too. We had some teachers perform at the Homer Glen lighting event this last weekend as well. And I went and played at the Lamont senior holiday party just yesterday. So we've got a lot of cool stuff going on. We're hoping to add more and more. The performance opportunities are, something to look forward to for kids, but also just really good for their confidence and really, a lot of fun. So.
And you're trying to teach everybody to play Jingle Bells?
Yes. So this year we started a lot of new holiday things. So this year our goal is to teach as many people in the area Jingle Bells as possible. So we're sending out, if you can sign up right on our website, even our homepage has a sign up. And we're sending out videos that are progressively going throughout the song to help you learn that on various instruments. We also have some dates for extra help in person. So that's our goal this year, is how many people can we teach Jingle Bell?
And I guess, too, tell us a little bit about, at the library, you have sippin' strums.
Yeah, so we're fortunate that both the Homer Library and the Lamont Library have been really supportive in bringing music to community. So we've had some regular classes ongoing at both. In Lamont, we have a sip and strum class, which we did 4 sessions, and now we're renewing more sessions starting January. And that's for adults, and they do provide beverages. Um, and we provide the ukuleles. Sometimes, surprisingly, a lot of times people have their own or decide to get their own, but we provide them as well. We teach you, the basics of ukulele. You get to learn sometimes parts of songs. We try to give you a good basis of things and get you kind of playing right off the bat. So it's pretty fun. The adults really liked it. We're bringing that one back. We also have an early childhood class that's every other Wednesday at the Lamont Library and every Friday at the Homer Library. So a lot of stuff going on. We're also teaching at some park districts now too. So just kind of doing as much as we can to just bring as much music to the community as we can.
And you mentioned ukuleles. I know you've mentioned piano kind of during this interview. What are the instruments that somebody can learn to play at Edge Music Academy?
Sure. So obviously, piano and guitar are kind of the most popular at pretty much any school. But we do have some ukulele students. We do even have some voice students, violin, and then we do have teachers that are also qualified to teach saxophone, clarinet, brass instruments. So quite a few options. We did have someone reach out just yesterday about pedal steel. And I was like, yeah, I don't think we have an expert in pedal steel, unfortunately, but that's a cool one that we don't have anyone for that one just yet, but my uncle wants to learn too, so I might have to learn.
So as we wrap up, tell us where we can find Edge Music Academy, both your physical location, online, and, I guess conclude with why Edge Music Academy is the place to learn.
Yeah, sure. So we're at 159th and Bell Road, right in Bell Tower Plaza. We're in the office building. And you can find us at edgemusicacademy.com is the best place to find us. Learn more about us. Check out our kind of video with more info. And really, the reason we're the place to go is not only we're growing and we're adding more and more cool opportunities, but we're one of the few places that really just focus on the educational side of music, and that's what we do best. And we find the best teachers, and that's why everything's kind of growing right now. So come join the growing team, basically.
That sounds great. And whether you're 5 or 105 and you want to learn how to play, Edge is the place to go. We definitely recommend it. Jason, thank you so much for taking the time to sit with us today. We hope everybody learns to play Jingle Bells as well as several other songs. So make sure you definitely check out Edge Music Academy. Thanks, Jason, for being the first guest on the show. We know that for a lot of business owners, their time is precious, especially during this busy month of December. Our goal with this podcast is to help facilitate networking for those who can't make our events here, whether it's in December or any time during the year. So, now that you know a little bit more about Jason, go ahead, reach out, strike up a conversation, and if you or anyone you know has that musical calling in their bones, sign up for lessons. You want to be a guest on a quick chat? Contact us at info@myhcba.com. If your organization is a member of the HCBA, we'd love to have you on the show to learn more about you and your business. My name is Dan Molka. I'm the Executive Director of the Heritage Corridor Business Alliance, the Chamber of Commerce that serves Lamont, Homer Glen, and the surrounding areas. Thank you for sitting down for a quick chat.